because I was too tired of traveling like back to back to back. So
Oh,
I was like, okay, fine,
this
let's
also
break.
a thing, getting tired of travel. I haven't experienced this. I want to know, how did you convince your family for solo travel?
I'm the biggest like fattu with flying drones.
Some travel experience.
Juicy.
Yeah.
Like what kind of terms and conditions to have. And like I just
You
would
have-
always be
You
afraid to
have terms
negotiate.
and conditions also. I didn't know. Hello, people of internet. Welcome to another episode of Badmash Baatein. I'm your host Sukriti Grover, and today we have Kritika Goyal with us, and she is a really fun, really cool travel vlogger. She makes really fun lifestyle videos, and I really admire her for what she creates, and her style is very different. I mean, I just love to watch them. बहुत मतलब ऐसे therapeutic से लगते हैं कभी कभी her videos. So today we have her on podcast. We talked about a lot of different things, and starting from her YouTube journey, her corporate life, how she got into travel vlogging. We also talked about brands and travel agencies. Also, she also shared some of her travel experiences which didn't really make it to the vlogs, and you guys are lucky enough to listen to them. So yeah, there is a lot more, so stay tuned till the end. And if you're listening this on Spotify, make sure you follow. If you're listening this on Apple Podcast, make sure you subscribe. YouTube viewers, make sure you subscribe and hit the like button already. And let's get started with the podcast now. Yes guys, we have today Kritika with us, and I was honestly like wanting to get her from a really long time. एंड मतलब पहले तो था मेरे को कि मुझे कोई वीडियो करना है. I had no idea what video, but I wanted to do a video with you. And then because back then when I reached out to you, that time I hadn't started my podcast, and I was like,
Oh, okay.
yeah. So I was like, मैं क्या shoot करूँ? Like चलो okay, let's just see if something works out. मतलब मैं बहुत जल्दी कुछ सोच लेती थी उस टाइम, तो मैं एक बार हाँ हो जाए तो हम सोच लेंगे. It's just that way. So
That's a good way to go about it. But yeah, I remember you DMing me like I remember your profile photo from then, so I remember your account.
yeah, in Jan I texted her, and then she wasn't in Mumbai. She was somewhere else. I think either you were in Vellore or
Must have been
US.
traveling.
Either of
I
them.
was in Kolkata
हाँ,
in Jan.
okay. So
Yes.
then I thought कि चलो करते हैं बाद में, someday we'll do it, and now it is happening, guys. Kritika Goyal is on my podcast, and I have
Yes,
lot of questions to
finally.
her. मतलब
Oh my
बहुत
God.
सारे.
Okay,
not
I'm
even-
excited. I'm also a little nervous.
Yeah, so I wanted to know first, सबसे cliche question जो होता है, how YouTube happened to you.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let me give a bit of background about myself.
Yeah.
So in case people don't know, I grew up in this place called Vellore. मैं काफ़ी पीछे से start कर रही हूँ. So I was born and brought up in Vellore in Tamil Nadu, and I did my schooling here. उसके बाद I did my college in Delhi. I studied economics from Lady Shri Ram College. Then I had a job in finance. Realized I hated finance as a field. Like I enjoyed the subject, but the job was just so monotonous for me. So I quit that, and I was like, okay, I want to try something creative. But even then, I was always like a topper, by the way, in school and everything. So I was like a big time nerd. So I just felt like I had to do like something responsible, even if it's in a creative field. So I thought, okay, let me try advertising, because that just seemed like a good mix of business and creative. So then I worked in a couple of ad agencies. I also did a postgrad in advertising from Xavier's in Bombay. And then I had a job in marketing. My last job, I used to work at this company, Camlin, if you know the stationery brand. I used to work in marketing there. So I basically had 4 jobs. I've worked for almost 4 years. And during my 3rd job, I just for fun started a blog, because I think with each job now, I kept thinking that the problem was with the job, but eventually I realized that the problem was with the concept of jobs for me, that I just didn't like jobs and working for someone else. But in my 3rd job, I was just like, okay, I have a lot of free time, because that job, I mean, just on weekends and stuff, I had time. So I was like, I need a creative hobby. So I started a website, blog, and my Instagram account just for fun, because उस time blogs were popular and I didn't have a niche or anything. जो भी मन करता था, I used to post about, and I didn't even want people to find it. I was just like, I'm just writing for myself, so it's okay if no one finds it. I was a bit embarrassed of it also,
I
I think.
actually remember
But then
started when I started watching you. It was this one subscription box, which was like a books ka subscription box. That's how I actually
Oh
started
yeah,
watching.
that was like one of my first few videos.
Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting. That's a very long time ago.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that was so a year after the blog is when I randomly decided to start a YouTube channel. Well, it wasn't random. For a few months, I wanted to start, but I was like, okay, I have no idea how to edit. I don't know how to film. I don't know how to be on camera. I don't know anything about YouTube. But I was just bored of my job. So I was like, chalo karke dekhte hain. So one weekend, I was like, let me just vlog on my phone and see what happens. I was not planning on posting that vlog. I was like, this is going to be my practice vlog. But then I edited it and I was like, chalo dal dete hain, dekhte hain kya hoga. I posted it and that's still on my channel. It's a really bad vlog. But that was my first vlog and I really enjoyed the whole process of like learning to film and edit and just like being on camera. And it's a lot more engaging form of like communication rather than a blog where it's very like one-sided. In the sense that even this is one-sided, but you get comments and it's way more engaging. So I really
feedback
enjoyed it.
thoda.
And yeah, instant feedback. And also I think I'm more of a visual person, so I really enjoyed videos. तो blog तो मैंने उसके बाद थोड़ा कम कर दिया. I still have my blog but I don't post there, but I really enjoy videos and photos and stuff like that. So that's how I started. And then this was still when I had my job, by the way. This was when I was a marketing manager at Camlin, and 7 months after that I decided to quit my job and do this full time. And at that point, looking back, I don't know what I was thinking because I only had like 800 subscribers or something.
Yeah.
But because I'd worked for 4 years, I had some money saved, and actually that was the year I was planning to apply to B schools. That was my plan, that I'll go to B school and do like an MBA.
Yeah.
And I'd also taken the GMAT, everything. But then when the time to apply came, I was like, okay, I'm not really passionate about this, and this was just kind of like my way of delaying working by 2 years, and that's a very expensive way of procrastinating, I feel. So I was like, okay, let me give this whole YouTube thing a shot for a year and see what happens. Anyway, I have work experience. I've got like decent education, so nothing to lose.
Yeah, right. And how
So yeah,
did
that's
you
my
figure
very
out
long
a
story.
niche? How did you figure out a niche?
So honestly, this is something a lot of people ask me. So I never started my channel thinking that I will make travel videos, or like now a lot of people know me as a travel blogger, and majority of my content, at least before 2020, used to be travel. So, but what happened was I personally, I've always enjoyed traveling. My parents have been super into traveling, so every year we would travel like aas-paas idhar, like thrice a year at least. So traveling is like something I've always done since I was a kid.
Yeah.
But during my jobs, those 4 years, I couldn't really travel much. Like the only travels I did were between jobs when I would switch. Tab thoda break leke I would travel. But because job mein matlab you get limited leaves, and my leaves would go in like, visiting family and stuff like that, because I was living away from family. So I literally like didn't get the time to travel at all. So
where were
once
you
I quit
living
my job,
when you were doing job?
I was in Mumbai. So my jobs were, one job was in Bangalore, the other 3 were in Mumbai.
Oh, okay.
So I've lived in Delhi,
And-
Mumbai, Bangalore, all
And
over.
how were your parents' reaction when you just told them that I don't know, I'm going to give a shot to YouTube, and after doing jobs?
So the
Wow.
funny thing, the funny thing is like, so my dad, I think he's never openly said it, but I know he's always wanted me to like be in finance and do MBA and stuff, because I was always like a very smart kid, and that's something that he's interested in.
Yeah.
And your parents, I think, subconsciously project their interests onto you.
Yeah.
He's never openly said it, but I was just like, okay, if I tell my dad I don't want to do MBA, because I personally, it's not like he said I have to do it. I was the one who was like, okay, this is my plan, I'm going to work and then go to B school. But then when I decided I didn't want to do it, I was like, okay, how am I going to tell him? This is going to be an uncomfortable conversation. But I remember I had that conversation when I was visiting back home in Vellore, and I told my dad, I started having a discussion, and before I could even say that, so at that point I myself wasn't convinced about YouTube. I was just like, okay, no B school, that much I know, and I know that I'm not like cut out for jobs, like I don't like working for other people.
Yeah.
So I told my dad, and he was the one who suggested that why don't you do YouTube full time? Because at that point I had started making some money off of it, like obviously not much, not through YouTube actually, more through Instagram, because at that point I think I had around 10,000 followers, and somehow back then like I would get some brand deals. Like looking back, I don't know how, but like I got some decent brand deals back then also. So I was like, okay, I was not expecting my dad to react that way at all. But yeah, it worked out. So the idea actually came from him. Because even though deep down I wanted it, like I didn't admit it to myself. I was just like, okay, not B school. Now what do I do? So that's the space I was in.
Okay, that's a very sweet thing, and like it was all in your favor already, the conversation. So
Yeah, true. That's something that I really had going on for me because I know for a lot of people, like it's a huge thing to convince your parents. And yeah, to answer your question, how like the niche happened. Once I quit my job, I was like, just because I missed traveling, I ended up traveling a lot. And because I was traveling, I was posting travel content a lot. Like I never planned that, oh, okay, my channel is going to be about travel. But because I was traveling so much, it just accidentally happened. And before I knew it, I was like a travel vlogger. Although in my head, like I don't think of myself as a travel vlogger. Like I mean, I know that I am now, but like that's not something I intentionally decided
so
to
how do you introduce yourself then? Like if you you were given to give an introduction to anybody, like how would you introduce yourself as?
I would say I'm like a full-time content creator. I create videos about my life and my travels and share my adventures with people. So it's not just like sharing my travels. I also do like other kinds of vlogs. But of course, like when you're traveling, like it takes up so much of your time that it's hard to create other content. So before the pandemic, I would say my content was like 70% travel, 30% lifestyle. But now it's become like the opposite. It's like more lifestyle and like less travel because obviously travel isn't happening.
I was actually gonna ask you, like, how did pandemic change your content, like, or did you have any upcoming trips जो cancel हो गए because of COVID, which you had planned कि
I
ये तो
was in
करना
the
है?
middle of a trip which
Oh yes,
I was in the middle of a
Yeah,
trip
yeah.
which like I had to cut short and come back.
Yeah.
So I had gone to the US for work, which was a really cool work trip by the way. So I'd gone to work with Boeing and Vistara. So I got to like go visit the factory and stuff. And I extended my trip to go to New York to meet my friend and then Boston to meet my brother who studies there. But then in the midst of all that is when like flights kept getting cancelled and my dad was just like, come back to India,
Yeah.
both of you. So yeah, like I cut my trip short by a few days and came back. But I mean, thankfully, most of my trips like get booked very last minute because my plan is so like random. So I already had like a bunch of plans, but I didn't book anything thankfully. So I didn't have any losses in that sense. But of course, I had like a lot of ideas of places to visit this year, which didn't end up happening.
And when the lockdown was announced and the flights were like put on a halt, how did that like what was your first reaction to it? Like, okay, what will I do now? Like, content कैसे बनेगा? Content वो क्या बना सकते हैं? Like, because if you said that most of it were travel related, but now converting that
Right.
to like most of it lifestyle related, वो अब thought कैसे, like,
So
how
the
did you
thing is,
process
na,
that?
yeah. So that thought actually came to me a little later because in the moment because I was traveling in the US for 3 weeks, I had a lot of content. So I was like, 2-3 महीने का तो है मेरे पास content, so I don't have to worry. So that way I was
Yeah.
sorted. But immediately, like when the lockdown, like there were rumors of the lockdown, and I was in the US. So I was just worried,
Yeah.
like, how am I going to come back to India? Like, what's going to happen? And at that point, like, we didn't know how long this is going to go on for, that it's going to, like, happen for the rest of the year.
Yeah.
Like, it just seemed like, okay, a couple of months. So at that point, I felt like, okay, for a couple of months, I have content, I'm good. And in fact, my return flight, the first return flight got cancelled, booked another one that got cancelled. Then finally, the third one is what, like, I managed to come back to India on. So yeah, I think that is something I was more worried about, and in a way, if I'm being honest, I was actually a bit relieved because I was too tired of traveling like back to back to back. So I was like, okay, finally
Is this
a break.
also thing getting tired of travel? I haven't experienced this.
Yeah, like I feel like it's such a like if you haven't done travel vlogging, like you won't understand what I mean.
Yeah.
Because it just sounds like, oh my god, like how full of yourself are you that you're saying that, oh, you're tired of traveling.
No, because
I
really
used to
want
think
to
that
have
too,
this
but
thing.
like
Yeah.
yeah, I mean the thing is, of course it's fun, but it's a lot of work. It's not like it's not the same as, oh, I'm going on vacation, because
Yeah.
you're constantly thinking about, oh, shooting this, shooting that, content. So what I try to do with my trips now is like I have like vacation days where I'm just like, okay, no content today at all. I'm just gonna
Oh.
chill. but that doesn't always end up happening. So I'd been traveling non-stop, I think, for like 6 months. So that way, like, I think the lockdown period was like a bit of a relief for me.
No, so I wanted to know this, like when you okay, if for example you happen to have a day which is a non-filming day when you are just relaxing, ऐसा नहीं होता, like sometimes you're like, oh, this is such a cool scene, I should record this, एक ये तो ले ही लेती हूँ, rest day कोई बात नहीं, let's just take this.
Yeah, that does happen, but and I do end up recording also. But what I do is usually like, I mean, when you're doing a vlog, then you have to think about the storyline and stuff. When these kind of things happen, I just shoot those clips and I'm like, okay, whenever I make the next vlog, I'll say that, oh, the other day I went here, and then insert that clip, you know. So yeah, that happens. Like always feeling FOMO that, oh my god, this is such a good like clip, I should film.
I wanted to ask you about your process actually when you talked about like how you go about your filming. I wanted to know about the process. Like, do you have a storyline or something in your mind when you go to a trip, or you have already kind of researched, okay, this is the itinerary we have got. So you kind of look at the places and have a little storyline or something in mind what you're gonna film and how you're gonna go about it. A music on which you will be editing it, something like that. Or you film it और and post में देख लेंगे क्या होने वाला है, something like that. How do you go?
So it's a mix of both. It's never like oh, I have no idea what it's gonna happen, like I'm just gonna film and see. I do have some idea, but the extent of planning really depends on what kind of trip it is. Like for whatever, like for good or for bad, like most of my trips in the last 1 year have been like work trips with brands and tourism boards and stuff. So in those trips, like it's not like you have the time and freedom to create what you want. Like they do give you time to, like, you know, they take you to different spots, but you have to like, you don't have like as much time as you want, so you're limited by that. And plus, like, they give you an itinerary, but you're not exactly sure like if you're going to stick to that or how long you have there or what's going to happen. So in that sense, like based on the itinerary, I have an idea that, okay, this looks like 3 videos worth of content. So in video 1, I'll cover these places, video 2, I'll cover these places and stuff like that. But a part of it, like, it really depends. If like things don't go according to plan, it's just film whatever and then come back and see like how you can make a story out of it. But if it's a trip that I'm planning on my own, then I do have like more time and more like, I mean, you can also take the time to film like things the way you want to, and it just gives you like more flexibility just because you have more time. So it's really a mix, but of course I'm not clueless going into the shoot. Like I do have some idea of like what I want to film.
And have you ever like selected a music beforehand going on a trip?
Music, I honestly have never selected beforehand. Like I've always thought that I should, and that's a good idea. But I think the way I work, like for me, it's just easier once I come back, I skim through all the clips and then get a vibe and then look for music accordingly.
Right. So how do you prefer, like what kind of trips do you prefer on planning out on your own and going on your own expense, or if it's like benefiting you in a way and a brand is sponsoring, your tourism board is sponsoring the trip and you're also getting paid for it, but again these there are these limitations you have?
I think considering this is my career, a good mix of both is like the best option. Because sometimes you just want trips where you can just do whatever you want to. And then I'm not gonna lie, like these branded trips are so fancy and so amazing that on my own I probably couldn't afford those kind of trips, you know. At least not so many trips in a year. So like I would not want to like not do those trips. Like those are amazing trips, and like they just have like the best experiences for you, the best food, and they show you like the places which like you probably wouldn't have access to also. So that way those trips are just like really nice, and you also get to like meet other creators, because usually there are like a few other creators on the trip and everyone's filming, so the vibe is completely different. Because if you're going on your own, solo is like one thing, or if you're going with like, I've traveled with my brother and friends, and of course like in the back of my mind I also have this thing that, okay, you know what, they're on this trip to enjoy, like I can't ruin it for them by being like, oh, take my shots. So so that way like brand trips are nice, because you know you help each other film and you make friends, and like these are people who do like what you're doing, so
and
it's like
they
a nice
know exactly what kind of shot
people.
you're looking for.
Yeah, and I've also made like a lot of really good friends like on these trips with like other creators. So definitely like, yeah, I think a good mix of both is what I would prefer. But yeah, I mean, they're both nice. I can't pick.
Okay. So yeah, okay. So talk to me about your first travel experience, like which you did for YouTube specifically,
For YouTube.
or like you went on a trip for yourself, but you ended up vlogging, and it went on YouTube.
So I think the first travel video that I posted on my channel was actually a trip to Pondicherry. This was while I was still in my job. I'd given my notice, like I'd put in my papers. So I had like, I think I had a 2 month notice. So I was just like, okay, I'm going on a vacation. So I went to Pondicherry with my family. And that trip I just randomly vlogged. It's not a very good vlog, but it has a lot of views. I don't know why. But that was my first like travel video. Before that, I didn't even think of making travel videos or anything. I mean, I didn't put too much thought. I was just like, I'm enjoying sharing my thoughts and like, my life on YouTube. But I didn't know that travel would be like such a big part of my channel. But I think after I quit my job, like one of the first trips that I did on my own was actually with a friend of mine. We went to Thailand. We did like a budget trip and like planned everything ourselves, and it was really fun.
So before doing this Pondicherry trip, did you see any other travel vlogs which like kind of inspired you to like should let me also vlog this and see how it goes?
No. So I mean, like based on what I know now, like present day Kritika would do that maybe, but like back then I was honestly just creating because I enjoyed it. So I didn't even bother to be like, oh, maybe Pondicherry videos are highly searched, so maybe I should do that. I was just like, I didn't even bother
What I
researching.
mean, like before that, had you seen any travel vlog in general? And like someone's
Oh,
going
like
on
that.
a Delhi trip, on a Jaipur trip, and then you're just like, oh, I should also vlog. I'm going to Pondicherry, and वैसा thought आया.
So I did follow a lot of vloggers. I think back then is when like everyone was obsessed with Casey Neistat.
Yeah.
So I was like everyone else obsessed with his videos. So he did like videos of his travels and stuff. So I think when I started, actually, I liked the whole vlogging concept. So that's what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I mean, I didn't really follow any travel vloggers as such. So that came later. I was like, okay, travel vlogging is a thing, and like there are people who do this. Like that came much later. I was just like, okay, I'm just gonna vlog whatever I feel like.
Okay. Okay. So, yeah, okay. So, yeah, again, coming to a question. This is a very personal question. I mean, question which is for me to know.
Okay.
So, I want to know, how did you convince your family for solo travel?
For solo. Oh, this is actually very interesting because before I decided to do YouTube and make like travel a big part of my channel,
Yeah.
like I have asked my parents for like permission to travel to places and they've just straight up said no. So that was also a time when I was younger. So
Like,
I
what
feel like,
was your age
I don't know,
at
because
that
of
point when you asked?
I think like I remember once when I was like around 20, I asked I mean
Yeah.
locally with friends and stuff and college trips, like my parents have been very chill.
Yeah.
Not like that, but like I think once I asked them if I can go to Singapore with a friend of mine and they were like no. And so I never bothered to ask. I just didn't think that that's something I can do. And plus with my jobs, I didn't have the time to travel also. So when I quit my job and the first trip I was going to do was to Thailand. So obviously like I mean because of my past experiences I was like okay, I don't know how to ask my parents, and I was like, how am I going to like break this down to them and will they be okay with it? But surprisingly, I don't know, my parents, either because I was like much older at that point or what, they were just very chill about it, and like I think they understood that this is also like a big part of my work.
Right.
And yeah, I think like also when you're older your parents just trust you more. I think you're a lot more sensible. So
I just
a
hope
mix
my
of all of
parents
that.
are
So
watching
surprisingly
this.
my parents
मेरे time stamp waste हो गई.
and the thing is, like see, when I was 20, like right
Yeah.
now I'm 27, so that was 7 years ago, there wasn't like as much connectivity. You didn't have unlimited data plans and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
there was no Uber also, I think, then was there. So it's not like it wasn't so easy, like if I understand like where they were coming from also. But now you're like so well connected and there's so much information and it's like if you're safe and careful, like taking precautions from your end, then I think it's like totally doable. Like I look at 20-year-olds now, they just seem like a lot smarter than 20-year-old like me when I was 20-year-old, in the sense of like street smartness. So I think that's because of like how much access to information there is right now.
Makes sense. And how about, let's say, what was your age when you actually started traveling by yourself, solo traveling?
I think 25.
And for
25, yeah.
like as we live in India, did any of your relatives just came to your parents and said कि why are you allowing her, ऐसे अकेले नहीं भेजते, something like that? Anything of that happened?
I'm sure they must have. Like my parents have never told me.
Achha, okay.
But I know even my grandmother, like she lives here. She's very modern otherwise, and she's quite chill. I don't know. She has like very different opinions. Sometimes she's like, yeah, it's very good, like you're traveling and stuff. And sometimes she's like, is it safe? Is it like, you're going alone? I think it also depends on where you're traveling to. But I think more than the travel part, like I know some people like in my extended family, because I was always like topper and stuff, so I've actually topped my district in school and like all of that, so I was always like the nerd. So people were just like, okay, what are you doing, like you like quit all of this to like be a YouTuber, what the hell? So I know some people thought that way, but like no one really told me to my face, or to my parents. If they told me, they didn't let me know, so all good.
Okay, alright. So talk to me about your gear. Like I want to know about your gear. Like how did you start, and
My
what are
gear,
you using currently? I know what I saw, the new camera, but I want to know how you started.
Okay, so alright, so my first, I think 15 videos I probably made just using my phone. I had the iPhone 6s, and I created like my first, I think easily first 15 videos on that. And I think like phones, that's something a lot of people starting, like they ask me, oh, what gear should I invest in and stuff. I feel like you should just start with what you have, because we all have like an idea of what YouTube will be, but maybe you start and then you don't like it, or maybe it's not something like you feel like you can do for a long time. So why waste money, right, unless you're sure? So the first like few months I just did on, first I think few months I was just using my phone. Only when I decided to quit my job and take it seriously, that's when I bought like a GoPro and a Canon G7X, and that's what I use to create most of my vlogs. Right now I use a Sony ZV-1. I have a Sony A6500 for like the more cinematic shots. I have a couple of lenses with that. I have a GoPro. It's a really old GoPro, but I only use it for like water shots, but I need to upgrade my GoPro. And I have a drone. It's a mini drone. Works for me. It's not like the most professional drone. It's a DJI Spark, but quite decent and like very compact size. What else do I have? Yeah, but I think that's
Have you
my
ever
gear. And of course like lots of tripods and mics.
Have you ever flown a drone at a place where it wasn't really allowed, but you're like, let's just take one shot and bring it back?
No, I'm like, I'm the biggest like fattu with flying drones and the rules and stuff. So I'm always like checking for rules. I may have accidentally flown it in places where it's not allowed. That may have happened, but like I usually check the rules and I'm like, okay, if it's not allowed, like I'm not flying it. In fact, I've even like traveled with people, like some of my friends who fly drones are like, kuch nahi hota, kuch nahi hota. They fly and I'm like, no, I'm not flying. Like I'm just very like, I don't know,
Aap de dena
super
shot.
into rules of that time. I was like, haan, mujhe shots de dena. I'll give you credits.
And I was gonna ask
But I have
you.
flown my drone and almost lost it many times. Like a lot of times I've flown it very dangerously and like lost connection or that I've done.
Does that it happens? मेरे को बहुत doubt था, like does it really happen, or it's
Yeah. Like some of my friends who are also YouTubers, they've lost their drones and stuff many times.
So what happens,
happens.
actually? Like it just loses the connection, and it is like you have no idea.
Yeah,
where
it
goes.
loses. You can track it, but sometimes it's like this one time it almost like fell into a waterfall. So obviously if it had fallen there, then I couldn't have recovered it, right?
Okay.
So that way, like you can sort of track it and figure out where it is if the battery is like still on.
Achha, in your recent
But
video where you were showing that your recent camera, the Sony ZV-1, you mentioned that Sony
Which is what I'm filming on now.
you mentioned that Sony cameras usually have a beauty mode, and it like loses all your like removes all the blemishes. Where is
Yeah, I actually have it.
it? Tell me. I have
So,
no
do you
idea
have a
about
Sony
it.
camera?
Yeah, I do have one.
Do you have a Sony camera?
Yeah,
So
it is here.
my good skin that you see here is thanks to the beauty mode. Actually, I don't know if it's on
Tell
right now,
me about
but
it.
I have a ring light.
हम यहीं
so-
पे करेंगे इसको अभी. Where is it?
So you have to press on function.
Oh, okay. I have. Oh, yeah.
Do you have an FN button function?
Yeah. I did that. And
Usme is there like a face showing? I don't know if all Sony cameras have that. Both my 6500 and this
Oh.
camera like have it.
no.
Do you see like a face?
Focus area, focus mode and focus area is all I see.
Which camera are you using? Which one?
This is
Sony
A7
A7 III.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't know. My 6500 has it and ZV1 has it. So I'll check and let you know. I'll send you a
Google it
picture
then.
of like where it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, just see if it has it.
Okay. So okay. Now I wanted to. Oh, also coming to the gear, I also wanted to know about how do you do those handwritten animation.
Ooh. So I have an iPad which
Yeah.
I bought like a year ago, which has been a very great
you
investment
use
because I
Procreate?
love the iPad. Yeah, so I use
Okay.
Procreate. That's what I do. It's a paid app. It's
That's
an
okay.
iPad, but there are lots of videos. I mean, obviously, like the only way to do it is not through a paid app and an iPad.
Okay.
There are free apps also on your phone which you can use. I'm trying to think of. I think there's this app called Adobe Draw or Adobe Sketch or something like that. I forgot the name, but you can use that on your phone. There are lots of apps actually. I've seen like videos on YouTube
So
where
you
people are just like
draw
showing.
it twice and then animate it, something like that.
Yes. So what I do is basically if I want to do like an animation, I write it twice, one over the other
Yeah.
in different layers,
Yeah.
and then just do like they're basically images. So then you put like one image after the other, like 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2. So
Okay.
like it looks like it's moving, and there's
God.
animation.
I'm gonna do that, guys. Next video. So okay. Now this another question, which this is actually the first question which popped to me when I was like planning out this podcast. Which your content is like majority. So like if your channel is like English oriented, like it's like entirely
Right.
English. So does an English speaking channel in India is it a pro or a con for you when you are?
This is something I have thought about so much
Yeah.
because I know it really depends on how you see it. Now
Yeah.
I'm just gonna share, like this is something I've thought about a lot and not come to a conclusion, but I'll share my thoughts with you. So
Yeah.
I think firstly you should make videos in the language you're most comfortable in.
Yeah.
And for me, like for better or for worse, that's English because I grew up in South India. Like although like my family is like a North Indian family, like I've lived in South India all my life. Like I didn't grow up talking to my friends in Hindi, so it doesn't come as naturally to me, you know. So even like when I went to college, like literally all my friends I communicate with them in English. So that's like my language of preference. That's the language I think
Right.
in. So I think ideally like create language like videos in the language you're comfortable in. But I would personally suggest people to create content in like local languages if you can because that does help you stand out and like grow your reach. So like I know for a fact if I started making Hindi videos, I know like my content has like a wider appeal. So it will reach more people. But then at the same time, now coming to like a con of that, which I mean, this is just my experience. Like, I don't know if this is actually true or not. But when you work with brands and stuff, somehow I feel like brands look for people who have like an English speaking audience because like from their perspective that's the audience which has like the purchasing power. Like
Okay.
it's kind of a messed up way to think, but that's something I've heard brands say also.
Makes
So they
sense.
even when brands reach out to me, like they specify that they want the video in English. So from that perspective, like English makes sense, but like that's not why I'm doing it. It's just like my language of comfort. So
Okay. But do you think so? You must be then having audience from outside India as well, right? I mean, I'm assuming.
yes, I do. And another thing which I didn't mention, I have a lot of audience from South India. So in
Okay.
between, I was like, okay, let me experiment with like English and see like how
Hmm.
that goes. Because a lot of people would comment and be like, you know, make videos in Hindi, please. And obviously, like, I
Yeah.
mean, I know how to speak Hindi, even though I'm not the most comfortable speaking it on camera. But like I know the language, so I was like, chalo, let me try English. But then in those videos, everyone's like, please stick to English. So I don't know, it's just very confusing. But I know like a lot of my audience, even within
Yeah.
India, is from like South India, and obviously like most people here don't speak Hindi. So yeah, now I'm just like, I mean, I've already started with English and like I've stuck with it. It's a language I'm more comfortable with. So I'm just like going with English for now. I don't know if I'll change later down the line. And also
And
about the brand deals thing, I think with
Yeah.
Hindi, obviously like there are lots of Hindi creators who make like amazing money. But I think with Hindi, you need to have like a lot of subscribers. Whereas like, for example, a channel with like my size in English and Hindi, I've noticed in my experience that somehow English channels like get paid more.
Oh.
I think it depends on who your target audience is, right? Because a lot of my audience is like tier 1, tier 2 cities and stuff. So
And then even in fact your
Just an
CPM must be
observation.
higher, right? Comparatively.
some videos, yeah, like one of my videos, one of my Vietnam vlogs, I think it's the Hanoi vlog. That's the highest like paying video on my channel, even though it only has like 200,000 views. But that video has like a CPM of 8 or 9 or something.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, which is like makes no sense. But like that video was majorly watched by like non-Indians.
Interesting. So okay, so talking about brands, how do you do you reach out to brands or do they reach out to you? Like brands, travel agencies, either.
So honestly, I think now I'm in a position where I don't have the need to reach out to brands. Like I already have so many, and
Yeah.
like because of I can't produce so many videos, I have to like turn down a lot of brands. So
Yeah.
I'm grateful to be in this position. But when I started out, I did reach out to a lot of brands. Not a lot, but like if I was going on a trip, especially travel related, it's always like a good idea because I was trying to save money wherever I could. So
Yeah.
in fact, like after I quit my job, like I was still living in Mumbai for 6 months, but then I decided that okay, I'm just spending too much money on rent for no reason and I want to be traveling. So I decided to leave Mumbai and move back home. I think this was in 2018, and 2019 is when I decided to go back to Mumbai again. But yeah, so I was just like finding ways to save money. So if I was traveling to a place, then I'd reach out to that brand and be like, hey, I can show you in my vlog, which I anyway would show.
Yeah.
So it's like, can you give me a free stay or like stuff like that? But I've never done it. Like it's easy if it's gonna, I mean, it makes sense if it's gonna be easy content for you and if it's gonna be an easy way to include them. But otherwise, if you have to go out of your way to create content for them, then you have to really see if it's worth it or not.
Makes sense. Right. So what would you advise to anybody who wants to reach out to, let's say, a travel agency and they have like a decent following as well and they are like a dedicated travel blogger? How would you advise them and so that they could go about reaching out to travel agencies? Like how could they pitch themselves?
Okay, so I think if you're a dedicated travel blogger or
Or let's say lifestyle
Instagram or
blogger
whatever,
maybe.
okay, whatever. If you're a content creator,
Yeah.
like I think one mistake I see a lot of people making, including myself, I've also made this
Yeah.
mistake, is like when you reach out to brands, you're just like, hey, this is me, this is how many followers I have, this is my channel, these are the videos. It's like all about you. But like a good pitch is all about what you can do for them. So keep your intro short, like leave your link so they can anyway go check your work. And then just, I think when like one important thing to do when you're pitching is to already go to them with a creative idea and be like, hey, you know what, like I saw your property and like you have a really amazing property and I've seen that you haven't been, like there haven't been any features on YouTube, but like, you know what, I create travel vlogs and my audience really like follows my recommendations and stuff. And you can also give your previous work examples and stuff like, see, I did this for this particular hotel, so I could do something similar for you as well. So if you go from that mindset of like, make it look like they are winning by giving you this deal. So that's how you need to like phrase
asking
it.
this for myself. But okay.
Get that sponsored trip. Yeah. And then in fact you should actually ask to, I mean, if your content is really good and if you're creating like visually stunning content, then you should ask them to pay you for it as well. Like
Yeah.
I mean, it's all about pitching skills, which I've learned over time.
Yeah.
But
So
yeah,
has
they
this
should
ever
pay you
happened
for
that
it.
you pitched to a hotel for, let's say, and then how did you convince them to pay you, like with the same kind of pitch, or like how did you ask for it, like it would be better if you pay me also?
So, yeah, that's a bit tricky.
Yeah.
But what I usually do is be like, hey, if you give me a free stay, then I can feature you in like my vlog and do a room tour and like hotel tour, whatever, for like 60 seconds.
Yeah.
But I also have these packages where if you want like images for your website, then I charge this much. So like just add in those, and you can give like samples. It's all about how well you present yourself. So work on like a pitch template and all of that. And in fact, I'm reworking. I don't know if I should say this. I haven't announced this to my audience yet, but let's do this. So I'm actually working on creating like a course, and I'm like about how to do all of this and stuff. And I also have like, I'm gonna be like putting my pitch templates and stuff on my store if anyone wants to buy.
I actually did that email VIP email thingy recently. Yesterday I think you put a story.
Oh, you did.
Yeah.
So you'll find out when it goes live.
So yeah, and I was gonna ask something, one more question related to this. Okay, so I remember watching this one video where you talked about like your income streams. I don't.
Right.
I'm not.
Yeah.
Something like that. You made a video, and in that.
Yeah, I've done 2 videos like that, sharing all my
मेरे को
income
थोड़ा याद
streams.
नहीं आ रहा, but उसमें एक point ये था that you if somebody wants rights on some of your content, they can ask you for the permission and pay you some amount, and they can get the permission and the rights of that content or something. So what is that process? I mean, वो मुझे समझ नहीं आया था. What is that exactly like? मैं मुझे थोड़ा example देके.
Okay.
हाँ.
Okay, let me explain. So let's assume there's an XYZ brand, skincare, whatever brand, who reaches out to you saying, hey, I want you to do an integration in your YouTube video for 45 seconds or 1 minute or whatever, and I'll pay you money for that.
Yeah.
So now the service that you're providing them is promoting them to your audience. But if they want to use that clip and make ads or put that on their website or use that to like promote their product to like their audience and create ads and stuff, then they're also using your brand image and your brand name, right? So, and you've created content, like what you're paying them for, I mean what they're paying you for is just for your brand promotion that you're doing. But if they want to promote it and use your clips in their ads, you're also associating your brand name with that brand, and they're using your clips and like your face for promoting them. So that's an extra charge that they should ideally pay you, because I mean, especially if your face is on it, like I don't know if I'm making a good explanation
I
of this.
understood.
But let's assume you're Shah Rukh Khan. Like if Shah Rukh Khan is like saying, okay, I'm going to post this on my Instagram and Instagram story, and then the brand is like, oh, I'm just going to use this and like create ads on that. They're using Shah Rukh's face to like, advertise. So then obviously they need to like pay him extra for that.
Yeah.
Like sharing it on your social media is fine, but like I think when they're advertising and like doing paid promotion using that clip, then they have to pay you.
Okay.
Or if they want to use it on their website and stuff.
Okay, so understood. ये काफी मतलब this is a new thing. I never knew about this. So yeah, new thing learned today. And talking about, sorry, I just burped, guys. Sorry. So
I have this weird, I've never like said it online, but I have this weird skill that I can burp anytime.
How do you do that? I cannot.
Like I can literally, like I can burp on command. That's one of my weird skills.
Sometimes I happen to, like most of the time when I sit for recording my videos, I often drink water first, and then ताकि मुझे बीच में पीने का वो ना हो, because my flow is like it's just get interrupted, so I cannot. So so I often drink water, and then in the middle of video I'm like oh no, what do I do? ये edit करना पड़ेगा. So yeah, I have to check the footage twice just to see if I'm not burping, and sometimes there are footage. I'm like, okay, let's keep it. Let's make a
You
meme.
should make that a part of your brand. Like every video, people will like keep waiting for you to burp.
It
Like, make that
eventually
a part of
became,
your.
so I'm like gonna stop because people started making memes out of it. Like there are people who literally cut out cringe scenes from their videos. On the other hand, there is Sukriti who is burping constantly. I'm like, sorry, I'm sorry. So there are memes around it, but
That's
okay. So anyway, I wanted to know that you talked about like how you started getting brands at about 10k followers on Instagram.
Right.
So like how was that? How did that happen? And how what were your learnings from then? Which like there were must have been some mistakes you have done, and उससे कुछ हुआ होगा.
So obviously when I was at that level,
Yeah.
it wasn't like I was getting brand deals left, right and center. थोड़े बहुत आते थे and I used to take them up like if I like the brand.
Yeah, yeah.
But I think my biggest like mistake then, or rather like it's not really a mistake, but it's like you're so new in this that you have no idea how much to charge or
Yeah.
like what terms and conditions to have, like when is it normal for them to pay you. Like some brands would be like, okay, we'll pay you in 90 days, and I'd be like, okay, cool. But like what the hell, like 90 days is a really long time. So I didn't
Yeah.
know like how much bargaining power I had or like what to charge. So I think that's something you learn over time. Now there are like more resources and stuff. In fact, like I've also spoken about that in a lot of my videos. I think that's one big thing. Yeah, I think that's like the biggest thing. Like you don't, like I was clueless about how much to charge and like how like what kind of terms and conditions to have.
Oh,
And
you-
like I just
you
would
have-
always be
You
afraid to
have
negotiate.
terms and conditions also. I didn't know. like
I
what
mean,
are
not like terms-
what are those? Well, not exactly, but like for example, what kind of terms and conditions are these?
So it really depends. Like these are flexible terms.
Because I
But,
have recently
typically
started working on paid collaborations. अभी तक हम barter कर रहे थे, and I'm like नहीं, I will also charge. So
yeah, you're at like
Please,
a good level. You
enlighten.
should do paid collaborations. But
yeah.
But I mean, see, like this has come because some brand deals have like been really painful for me when the payment process came about.
Yeah.
So I was like, I really need to like figure this out. So yeah, typically, I mean, if everything goes well, I'd like to do like 50% payment in advance and 50% after I give you the video link before I make the video live. So I get the full 100% payment before making the video live. But most brands don't have that kind of flexibility, especially if there are agencies, they like have their own rules and stuff. So it really depends. I insist on 50% advance or some advance at least. And if they're not willing to pay the full money up in advance, then I request for like at least paying within the first 7 days or at most 30. Like I don't do 90-day payments and all of that. And I also try to put in like a term where if we agree on 30 days, you have to pay within 30 days. And if you delay it, then you have to pay me a fine. So that's
This is
just
a
to
nice
ensure
one.
that they
I'm
pay
gonna
me
do
on time.
that. You will be like. So okay.
Yeah, so like for each day of delay, you pay me like XYZ money.
Yeah.
That it depends on the price of the brand deal.
Yeah.
But like those are things. I mean, this is all after having bad experiences. I've figured out that I should be doing these things.
Right. And how do you decide how much to charge a particular brand? How do you like figure it out? Is it upon the brand or is it about the integration you are doing? How do you figure it out?
So this is kind of tricky because there's so many layers to this.
Yeah.
So first, it depends on like
These questions
what
are
I
all
do is
for
I
me.
have a
I want
range
to
in
learn.
mind.
Yeah.
No, but these are good things that people should know, I feel, if they're content creators. But yeah, I think personally, like you should have a range for yourself that this is the minimum that I will work for.
Yeah.
Like, isse niche doesn't make sense for me. Because I think a lot of like, for me, when I started out, like I would do like a lot of videos for just free trips and stuff. But you know, then you're just creating so much content, you're putting so many hours of work and you're giving them access to like your audience. And it's not like, so it's different on Instagram where if you post something like that content is gone in a few days, but on YouTube like whatever I've posted like 3 years ago is still getting views.
Yeah.
So you're literally giving them like lifetime access to like those views. So you need to think of like that as work. Like initially I would be like, oh, you know what, I'm getting a free trip, so it's cool, I mean, go. And of course I'm not saying don't do free trips. Like you need to realize like if it makes sense for you or not. Like maybe it's like a trip that is very expensive, or if it's going to make for good content, then do it. Or if it's going to lead to like a good relationship and in future you see that maybe there'll be paid collaborations and stuff, then do it. But like figure out like what your minimum level is going to be. Like if you decide that XYZ is what my minimum rate is, then and figure out what your maximum is. So start by quoting the maximum and usually brands negotiate. So maybe maximum ka bhi 20% बढ़ा के you quote, and then they negotiate anyway. So you bring them down a little bit and like sit somewhere at your higher end or middle end. And it also, I mean, how I go about it is I first see if the brand is like something I want to work with. I think now I'm at a point where I've done a lot of brand deals and like I do get like a decent amount every month. So I'm in a position where I can pick and choose. So I like try to work with brands who I genuinely enjoy working. I don't think I've ever worked with a brand that I've disliked. So I've honestly like replied to brands saying I'm not a good fit. Like I don't use these products, so I don't think I'm a good fit. So I say that. I think
I have actually done one. Actually, not the so the brand I really liked. This was like तब मेरे को बहुत ही minimal amount pay किया था. This was I think I was at 8,000 subscribers and बहुत minimal amount था. So it was fine. I mean like okay, at least something better than barter. So the brand was good. But they actually happened to send me a product which had coconut in it, and I was allergic. My hair was allergic to coconut, and I was like, oh shit. I told them so like, how do I do this? And they were like, it's okay, we'll send you another one. So I, do I have to send this back? No, कहते no, it's fine. उसका अलग charge होगा, आप रख लो ये भी. मैंने कहा okay. I just gave it to a cousin.
That's nice.
So that happened.
Yeah, I mean, brands are usually nice, I think, some brands. So that way it's good.
Yeah. So,
but yeah, I was going to say something, I forgot.
Oh no.
I was going to say, typically, no, so typically, I mean, there's no hard and fast rule.
Yeah.
But I would say anywhere between 0.5 to 1 rupee per subscriber. But again, it depends on your engagement and the work involved, what production quality it is, what they're exactly asking for. Maybe some brand is like, we want a 30-second integration. Some brand wants like a 2-minute integration. Like you have to look at a lot of things of like how much effort is actually involved in that. Like if you just have to sit and talk to the camera, maybe you don't, like maybe you can, if they ask for a lower price, you can agree for that because it's not as much effort. So yeah, it's very subjective. I think personally you should decide like a range and decide like depending on how much work is involved which end of the range to like quote.
मतलब काफी थोड़ा समझ आ गया मेरे को. I'm like go do that. Anyway,
brand deals come at me.
any brand or any travel in general has ever said okay, we have really enjoyed working with you, and like how you said that any trip which has happened for free, for example, then they reach out to you, okay, now we are ready to pay you for a trip. Any experience of that happened? And they were like, okay.
So I don't think it's happened with trips, but there was this one brand. It's an international brand and I can't reveal the name because we have like non-disclosure agreements and stuff. But I did like one, actually even Indian brands it's happened, where the first deal I've done, not a barter, but like for a lower price.
Yeah.
And then the second and third deals have been at 3 times the price.
Yeah.
And also like, I think if they like your work, then like during this lockdown this year, this happened where this one brand I worked with really liked my work, and then they came back to me with like a long-term contract for many videos and paid me like 6 times the price. So yeah, so it does happen, and it was a brand that I would have like I have promoted for free also because I love the brand. So I think it really depends on like, which is why I ended up taking up like the lower paid thing initially.
Yeah. Interesting. So okay, काफ़ी हमने ब्रांड के बारे में ब्रांड इंटीग्रेशन सब के बारे में जान लिया है. So हाँ, I also like now थोड़ा digressing a bit, I have also learned the fact that your content is also a little more about money and how you are all about investing and everything. You do talk about it. So
yeah, I've made a few videos about it.
Yeah. So I wanted to know like where does your understanding about money exactly comes from?
2 sources. One is my dad, and one is I studied economics. So obviously, like money and all of that is like a big part of it. But yeah, more than that, I think it's just my dad actually. He's super into finance and stuff. He helps me with my investments as well. In fact, I've done a video on my channel with my dad where he's answering like finance related questions, which a lot of people really liked. So yeah, I think those two places.
How did it start exactly? Like, was it at a young age when you started working? When was it?
So honestly, like again, like I have to give credit to my dad because he's always inculcated this like saving habit. I remember when I was a kid, I think I was in like third standard or something. My dad would give me like 50 rupees per month pocket money, and he would be like, I'm gonna be your bank. If you want to spend this money, you can, but if you save it with me, I'll give you like 10% interest rate or some whatever. 10% is too high, some percent. So that's like so from that time I started saving money. I was just like saving. So I've always had that habit of saving because of, I think, my dad pretending to be my bank and providing me money also. But then of course, like I think when you work at jobs is when it really like hits you, because until school, even until college, like your parents sort of support you to some extent, right? To a large extent. I mean, they're supporting you fully. But when you're working and like the number of hours and effort you put into like work to get paid, that's when you really start valuing money. So I think yeah, that's truly when, because before that it was all like parents are helping you with money and all of that. So I think once you start earning is when you really see the value of money and saving.
Right. So I wanted to know how was it because right now you are home, right? Abhi to?
Yeah,
So
I'm in Vellore. So yeah, sorry, ask your question.
No, you can go. You can talk. What do you think?
No, I was just gonna say how like last year I moved to Mumbai and now because of the pandemic, like I had to move out and like I long distance vacated my apartment.
Yeah. Oh
So at
yes,
the
I
moment,
saw
this is
that
my
video.
place.
I saw that video. I saw how you were,
Yeah.
how you did that and couldn't say bye to the apartment. I saw.
Yeah,
that.
literally, I, like before my US trip is when I last saw my apartment, which was in Feb. So yeah.
I was asking you, how was it living by yourself in Mumbai? Like I think you did say that when you were working, you were living alone, right?
So no, this was actually my first time living alone, like having an apartment to myself.
Oh.
Before this, like obviously, I mean, I was living away from home, but I had flatmates and stuff. Because Mumbai is super expensive. So
Yeah.
if you want an apartment by yourself, you need to be making decent money. Otherwise,
Yeah.
I mean, it's just very expensive. So yeah, I mean, technically, I've lived by myself since I was 17 because I moved to Delhi when I was 17 and for college, and I used to live in a paying guest accommodation. So since then, I've sort of just been living alone. But of course, I always had like flatmates and roommates and stuff. So this apartment was the first time I was like living by myself in the whole apartment.
So how was it? And again, parents were convinced enough for this.
Yeah, my parents were quite chill. Like my parents surprise me every year with how chill they become with each year passing. So they were like very okay with it. And also Mumbai is a safe city, so it's not like, I mean, I don't know how they would feel if I was doing that in any other city. Or not discussed that with them. But Mumbai is quite a safe city, and like it just made sense for me to like live by myself, because I know like in my previous apartment, whenever I had to film, like obviously there are flatmates, there's noise, it's like not the easiest. So I wanted to have my own place where I can just do my own thing. And it was like an amazing experience. Like I can't live with anyone else anymore. I think the flatmate life is behind me.
Okay.
It's like the best of both worlds, because when you want to meet people, you can just like call your friends over or go out and meet them, and then you have your own space to yourself.
Yeah, मेरे को भी अकेले रहना है एक बारी. I haven't
But then, but I didn't actually have a maid, so I used to do all my dishes, jhadu pocha, everything I did myself because I didn't.
And
have a
every
maid.
day.
Yeah.
That's a lot of work.
So that's the downside.
Okay, so now we are heading to a little Badmash Bate segment. Kelo, segment. Okay, fine. Let's just call that. So
Sounds fun.
Yeah, I'm gonna ask you about some travel experience.
Juicy.
Yeah, travel experiences.
Oh, interesting.
Which
Okay.
never made it to the vlog, or you didn't capture them. Any experiences you had during India?
There are way too many. Let me think.
Yeah.
What is safe to say on the internet?
Yeah.
Honestly, there have been so many. Let me think. I'm actually the kind who like ends up posting these things I shouldn't post also, either on stories or on my in my vlog.
Yeah.
Uh,
Okay, talk to me about that.
but
Anything you have posted which you realized I shouldn't have posted?
no, I don't feel that. Like sometimes, actually, this is not a fun answer.
Yeah.
But in one of my earlier videos, so when I started, this was like I think in my first year, in the first 6 months of quitting my job, so I was still like new. But I had a very small
Yeah.
audience who was like very, when you're starting out, it's like a very small, engaged audience of like very like minded people. And as you grow, you get like all kinds of people who don't
Yeah.
really know your background
Yeah,
and stuff, right? So I used to just speak my mind and like say whatever the hell I wanted to. And I think in one of my videos I said something about like a religious topic, which now I've realized is something I shouldn't ever say anything about on the internet because it like really
Yeah.
pisses people off.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was something that I did. But let me think of fun answers. uh, when I was in Iceland, I remember this. I don't like a bit of it is in my vlog, but when I was in Iceland, I went there with my parents and my brother, and on our last night there, my dad. So my parents don't drink. My brother and I also drink, but like occasionally. But my parents don't drink at all. But my dad, he's the kind of traveler who will be like, okay, if you're going to a place, you need to experience what that place is famous for. And Iceland is like Reykjavik, the capital city, is like famous for its nightlife. So my dad was like, okay, let's book like a pub crawl, and we will all go and like drink and like go to different pubs.
Yeah.
So we're like, okay, cool. So we went there, and like the drinks in Iceland are so strong. So by the end of the night I was just like super drunk, and my parents then like once the tour got over they went back, but my brother and I, we were like out till so late, and I got like so drunk, and like I think I blacked out. I don't even remember what happened, and I got, if my mom is watching this, she's gonna freak out, I think. But then we somehow got back to the hotel. I don't even remember how. And we were woken up with my
Did you
like my
did you
mom
have your
saying
gear
that,
there?
yeah, thankfully, oh my god, like I would have like probably like given up alcohol only after that if I'd lost my gear, but nothing happened.
Okay. And
But
any
yeah, I mean, I
yeah.
don't drink much. It was just like a fun pub crawl we went on, and Icelandic drinks are just like too strong.
Okay,
But yeah, I've had experiences where like I've gotten lost, and
Oh.
like I've ended up meeting some interesting people who I've become friends with and stuff. Because once I remember my phone died and I got lost and I didn't know where I was. And then I ended up making friends with this guy. Oh, once like in Singapore, I've made a whole video about it, but like I went to an amusement park alone. So I went to Universal Studios alone because I was like, okay, I really like amusement parks, but like the idea of going to an amusement park alone seemed weird. But then I ended up making like a friend there, and we hung out the entire day, and like that was really fun.
Interesting. And any subscriber or fan encounter you've had, and sometimes like it was awkward or weird for you for at any point?
It's never been awkward. Like I always love it when like subscribers come and say hi, because it makes me feel like
Yeah.
okay, the numbers I see online, like behind that there are real people. So I always get very excited.
Yeah.
In fact, it's like kind of cool when you're with friends and a subscriber comes and says, "Oh hey, like can I
Yeah,
take a
yeah.
picture with you?" Because like flex, but yeah, like but I think the interesting things have been like in India when I'm traveling, usually I end up like meeting someone. But I remember in Singapore I ran into a subscriber, in Bali I ran into a subscriber, and I was like, oh damn. I mean, they were Indians, I
Yeah.
think, but can't remember.
that's-
They were Indians, I
that's
think.
nice.
But
That's
still, it was like
cute.
kind of cool to like,
Yeah.
yeah, it was really nice. So I really enjoy meeting subscribers.
Okay, so if not YouTube, what would you have done like okay, like a corporate job or anything? What would it be?
I already did corporate jobs and I hated it.
Yeah.
So definitely not that.
So anything
but I think I
creative?
would have definitely done something creative.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like probably I would have gotten into like photography or something, because photography is something I've always been into.
Oh.
But I don't know how. Yeah, I think photography would have been. Like in fact, more than filmmaking, I enjoy photography.
And
So-
do you enjoy editing
Editing photos or videos?
videos?
Videos is a very love-hate relationship. Photos I love editing.
Yeah.
Videos, it's a very like, I enjoy it once I get into that zone, but to get into that zone
Yeah.
takes like the life of me. It's like so hard. So
Same.
once I get into that zone, it's
Same.
like the best feeling. But like it's so hard to
So
get
like,
into
do
that
you
flow.
do you like plan to get somebody who can like edit your videos so that you have more time
Yeah.
to work on just the content you're producing
Yeah,
and
yeah.
someone's just editing it?
I am like definitely yes. Like I think now I'm at a point where like I can afford an editor and like hire like a team and stuff. So I want to do it. I'm just like working on all these other things that I mentioned before. So it's just taking up my time. So I think for 2021 definitely like I would like to work with an editor. It's also like I mean, once I start, like I'm assuming the first month or two, like I will have to be a little more hands-on to explain my style and
Yeah.
all of that. So I'm just not finding the time to be in that headspace to do it, which is why I'm delaying this process. But yeah, I think I would definitely like to have like an editor because, yeah, I mean, that's like at one point you reach a point where it's like there's only so much you can do. Like I'm doing everything myself. I'm like filming, negotiating brand deals, editing, all of it like
Yeah.
myself. So.
Have you ever considered having a manager who can help you with these things, the brand? bit?
Yeah, so I've worked with people on like trial basis, but
Yeah.
somehow I feel like I do like a very good job of negotiating and stuff. That I haven't been able to find someone like who can live up to those expectations. Or like I think actually like I have worked with some
Right.
people who've been very good, but like I think I would prefer someone who works for me full time, like rather than manage like a lot of people. Like I don't mind paying them like a fixed salary and like bonuses depending on how much I made that month through them. So something like that would make more sense because I've realized like if you go through agencies and stuff, I mean it's a very good thing if you're not interested in the business side of things, but I'm super interested in that. So like I enjoy doing that. So if someone's not like I would want someone who's doing a better job than I am, or at least as good a job as I'm doing with that, which is like hard to find. I sound so like pretentious
Oh, yeah.
and like I'm the best, but no, I'm just like a little bit of a control freak
It makes
with
sense.
those
It
things. I
makes
think.
sense. And what it is very subjective also how people prefer having a manager or how they look at things.
Yeah,
So-
like I definitely don't want to have to go through my emails. So it would have
Yeah.
been like when I did work with a manager for a while, it was very easy because I would just send him all my emails and he would take care of it. So that was definitely very convenient.
Yeah.
But I think this year I would have definitely, like I would have hired a manager if the pandemic didn't happen. But now because I'm home and I have more time, like I can do this for a little longer.
Okay. And to end this podcast, one tip or no, okay, let's say this. One thing you would want to advise, one advice you'd like to give to upcoming creator, somebody who is a creator and again who is doing pretty well, but what is that one thing you would ask them not to do as a content creator?
Who's already a content
Yeah.
creator and doing well.
Yeah.
Sorry, I spaced out.
Yeah, who is already a content creator, like let's say again yeah, 500,000 wala range subscribers ka.
Basically,
Just-
you're asking me for advice for you, no?
no, I am at 20,000.
Okay, 1,000 wala range. Okay, so beginner content creators.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I think I have a lot of advice.
Yeah.
Like one would be to be patient actually.
Okay,
because a lot of people
let's say
DM me
somebody
and they're-
whose channel is monetized. Now, like
Okay.
recently monetized channel
Okay.
because usse pehle to we would just say don't look at the monetary aspect.
But you know the thing is like yeah, but I also feel like the real monetization like comes a little later, like maybe once you're
Yeah.
like at 20 plus or 50 plus, because ad revenue like come on doesn't pay you much in India,
Right.
so it's like close to nothing.
You're right.
So in that sense, I meant be patient
Yeah.
because I know a lot of people who message me and they're like, oh, I've posted so many videos, nothing's happening. I think like if you keep posting like once a week at least for a year, like you'll definitely see growth, but you need to be consistent. So YouTube is like a bit of a challenge that way. Like it tests the people who are perseverant and rewards them. So you have to do that. Like now I'm not very regular, but like I remember when I was really focused on growing my channel, I used to post regularly and like see like much better growth. So that's one. Another thing I would say, which is something I didn't do, is like actually be a little more intentional about your niche and what you're creating. Because I was just creating whatever I wanted to when I started out. I wasn't really thinking about like niche and stuff. But I think, and I also feel like a lot of people think of niches as like just categories like travel, food, beauty. But I think what you need to think of is like much deeper. Like, for
A
example, in
brand
travel,
maybe.
okay, what kind of travel? No, so what I mean is like, for example, you're in travel, like, okay, are you into budget travel, solo travel, like luxury travel? Are you targeting women or men? Like, try to be as specific because then your content is like super targeted. And that doesn't mean that, okay, if you're thinking of creating content for women, men won't watch your videos. That's
Yeah.
not how it is. Like, you're not eliminating your audience, but you're just being like more focused about what you're
More
creating.
specific.
And when you yeah, and over time, like eventually you can expand on your niche. Like, I know a lot of people are like, oh, but I want to create videos about this and that and stuff, but like it's easier to grow when you have a very targeted niche, like as specific as possible. Like, I would say,
You were saying?
Yeah, so what was I saying about niche? Yeah, like for example, if you're in travel, like I would say, especially now because there are so many creators that you really need something to like distinguish you and make you stand apart. So, for example, if you were a travel creator, I would say you should think about, okay, do you want to be in the budget space, solo travel, mountains or beaches or what? Like, be as specific as possible and try to stick to that, like at least for a few months, because that will really like help you grow. And then once you're at a level, like when you're starting out now, your audience is not like, they don't care about you, as sad as that is. Like they care about like what value you can provide to them. And you want like the audience to feel like, oh my God, this channel is like meant for me. And that only happens if you're very targeted. And then once you create content for a while, then people care about you and what you do. So then you can expand and do other things as well. This is something I didn't do. So, but I wish I'd done because I know it would have helped me more.
Right. This is a very interesting thing, very interesting tip. So yeah, that was a very fun conversation and मतलब मेरे को पता नहीं लगा how the time passed. मतलब मैं काफी देर
Yeah, I know, this was so much fun.
Yeah, and मेरे को लगा था 30-40 minutes का ही usually I prefer podcast. We are हमने 1 घंटे ज्यादा कर ली conversation.
Oh my God, it wasn't that long. Wow.
Yeah, so it was a very very fun conversation. Thank you so much for coming on our podcast. I am so happy. मतलब मैंने भी बहुत चीजें सीखी है and I'm sure audience also learned something today. And
I hope so. And thank you for having me. This was honestly so much fun. It just felt like, even though we're talking like face to face for the first time, it felt like I already know you. I think that's a good trait in a podcast. Like when you're interviewing people, you make them comfortable. So you're doing a good job.
Yes, यही सुनना था मुझे.
What was I doing?
You're very cute. You're very very sweet and cute.
Oh, thank you. You're cute too. And I like your new hair.
Thank you, guys. She's the first person to see this, guys. मतलब this podcast is going on Friday, and the vlog will go on like tomorrow or day after, whenever I complete the edit. But yeah,
I feel so special, first person to see this. But it actually looks really nice, super edgy.
So yeah, I'll end this. And people, if you're listening this on Spotify, make sure you follow, subscribe on Apple Podcasts, and I'll see you guys super soon.